Photography camera are offered in each with unique features, benefits, and prices. I did a massive amount of research, reviewed a ton of reviews, and put up a list of the best photography camera from trustworthy brands to assist you in making a decision after extensive investigation. I discovered these goods to benefit people like you. If you're curious to learn more about the price and other information, be sure to watch my description. Without further ado, let's watch the video. Product 1: Panasonic LUMIX DCZ-S70K. In a world dominated by mirrorless, smartphone and DSLR cameras, yes, they are still very popular, both among the regular and professional users. It has become increasingly rare to find an interesting and affordable point-and-shoot camera that will be able to stand out from the crowd with its features and competitive price. While there are a slew of more advanced compact cameras bearing larger 1-inch sensors available on the market and have enjoyed a lot of popularity, those with smaller and more traditional 0.3-inch sensors are receiving a lot less attention from the manufacturers, and most of them are either your cheap and simple point-and-shoots or large and bulky bridge cameras bearing very long lenses. You will be able to find some rugged and waterproof cameras that also feature the same 0.3-inch sensors, but those have always been those products that will appeal only to particular types of audience, mainly those that spend a lot of their time shooting in harsh and unpredictable environments. The rise of modern flagship smartphones has also managed to complicate things even further, as a lot of them are now as capable as most entry-level compact cameras in a couple of ways. Some of them can even be compared to more advanced dedicated cameras in terms of their features and speed. The camera we get to review this time is the one that tries to be a product that blends the best of both worlds: the functionality of a dedicated compact camera with a slew of modern features that can also be found on many of our smartphones, and also do it while retaining a very low price point for everything it has to offer. We are talking about the Panasonic LUMIX DCZ-S70, one of the more interesting portable 0.3-inch cameras that has reached the market in 2017. In some markets it's called the LUMIX DC-TZ90. Just for your info now, for the reasons why it manages to show some indemnity amongst the very tightly packed crowd of entry-level point-and-shoot cameras. Besides the 30x optically stabilized and relatively small lens, it also manages to include RAW support, good macro capabilities, a very good contrast detect AF system, a touchscreen and an electronic viewfinder. Yes, you've read it correctly, an entry-level compact camera with a built-in viewfinder and electronic shutter, which allows it to shoot at very fast shutter speeds, fast burst rate, a built-in flash unit, stereo microphones, Wi-Fi, decent battery life, and lastly and most importantly, both the 4K and 1080p 60 fps video recording, something that is still very rare to find on some entry-level mirrorless cameras and DSLRs, let alone a compact camera. While the Panasonic LUMIX DCZ-S70 is far from being one of the best point-and-shoots on the market, that honor still falls to the likes of Sony's RX100 camera. It does look like it could be one of the most feature-complete entry-level compact cameras that money can buy at the time of us writing this review. It does look Panasonic have managed to fit anything that would be of importance to a beginner, casual or amateur photographer in a package that will easily fit in almost any pocket, let alone a camera or a regular bag. Now, let us take a closer look at its specifications and see if things really are as positive in terms of Panasonic ZS70's features as they currently. Product 2: Panasonic LUMIX S5 Full-Frame Mirrorless Camera. The Panasonic LUMIX S5 is, in my opinion, the best value full-frame hybrid camera on the market. It not only takes fantastic still images, but the video quality out of this is as good as far more expensive cameras from Sony, like the FX3, A7S and A7IV, all of which I have currently or have owned paired with the now great L-mount lens lineup. The Panasonic LUMIX S5 will give you professional results in any shooting condition. In today's video, I will discuss why the LUMIX S5 is so underrated and why I ended up with 4. No kidding, this review is not sponsored. I paid for all of my Panasonic S5 cameras. S5 first impressions: I felt slightly underwhelmed when I first got the Panasonic LUMIX S5 after shooting with the GH5 and GH5s. However, this didn't last too long. The only lens I had at the time of purchasing the S5 was the 20 to 60mm kit lens. This kit lens was good, but I didn't see enough difference between the kit lens on the S5 and the GH5 at first. The other issue I had at the time was the lack of lenses. One thing I love about the S-series lenses now is their f1.8 primes. They are all the same size and basically the same weight. They cover all the main focal ranges from 24, 35, 50, and 85mm. The results using these lenses on the S5 are as good as regular frame rates compared to the Sony FX3 or A7 IV. Image quality: the video quality out of the S5 is fantastic. We get 10-bit 422 recording and 14+ stops of dynamic range. 10-bit allows for more color information to be captured, resulting in more flexibility in editing. The S5 also features the full version Vlog straight out of the box, without needing a paid firmware upgrade. Vlog offers an excellent dynamic range and color grading. The S5 is loaded with a 24.2 MP CMOS sensor and features a dual native ISO that allows for pristine image quality, even in low light. The low base ISO is listed at 640, and the high base dual ISO is 4000. This means the S5 is a capable video camera from normal lighting conditions through sunset into extreme low light situations. I found shooting in low light up to ISO 8000 was not a problem on the S5. Part of the battle for swapping systems is getting the lenses. 50mm for me is what I used on all of my side cameras, and a 35mm is used for the front shot. The 35mm wipes the floor with my old 15mm f1.7 prime that I used to love. Sure, the lenses are a bit bigger than some MFT lenses, but not all of them. The end result was improved dynamic range, better color science, better low light performance, more background blur when it's appropriate, and a much more polished look overall. Looking back at my footage in studio with the GH5s versus the S5, there's no comparison overall. I am not saying that GH5s looks bad because it didn't. I still use and shoot with the GH6 and GH5M2, but the overall look is vastly different, and I picked the right camera for the job. Product 3: Ricoh WG80. If there's any reason to buy a basic point-and-shoot camera in 2022, it's to take it places smartphones can't. The Ricoh WG80 is among the more affordable options at $296, yet it can dive underwater over 45 feet and handle 5-foot drops. Its macro capabilities can make it look a dime too big. And it's one of the few cameras with a built-in constant ring light for macro and video. A name like Ricoh might make the WG80 a toy more serious than $100 waterproof cameras. But a few key missing features make this camera feel more like a gimmick than a serious photography tool. The slow motion and lack of stabilization are what's holding this camera back, though it's priced accordingly, at least. Focusing and burst speed: the Ricoh WG80 is so slow that it doesn't even have the burst speed listed in the specifications. Ignoring the high speed option, which reduces the number of pixels to 4 or 5, I timed the camera about 1 photo every 1.25 seconds. I'll be generous and call it 1 FPS. I don't expect cheap cameras to be fast, but even 5 FPS would have been good for taking this camera on the ski slopes or taking multiple underwater action shots. Considering the slow motion, autofocus can usually hold up. I occasionally got some soft pictures, and while images felt a bit soft overall, most shots were in focus. Ease of use: the Ricoh WG80 is straightforward and easy to use, even for non-photographers. In fact, it is quite easy for kids to use. My 2-year-old also used it. The camera has a handful of auto and scene modes. It has a P mode for a bit more control, but lacks any other manual controls. It doesn't even record RAW files, only JPEG. The limited number of settings also means it's easy to find things in the menu, because the menu is so small. While the camera is simple enough that even a child can use it, photographers looking for something they can't take their mirrorless camera will have a slight drawback. While the controls are easy for non-photographers, the limited manual options and lack of RAW images make it difficult for photographers to be able to make adjustments. The pricey waterproof compact, like the Olympus TG6, has more advanced controls. The hardest part of using the WG80 is getting accurate exposure using just the LCD screen. In bright sunlight, it's hard to tell if exposure needs to be adjusted, which is only possible in P mode using exposure compensation. Image quality in the outdoors: the Ricoh WG80 delivers images on par with a good smartphone, only 10 times more fun, because the smartphone can't go underwater. The color is good, the subjects are a bit soft, but the sharpness is enough to share on social media. However, that changes quickly when the lighting isn't as good as it is indoors. Images are increasingly noisy. Even ISO 125 felt a little grainy at the default settings the camera ships with, which includes leaving JPEG quality at medium. Photos were sharp and with slightly less noise on the high-quality settings, but I still wouldn't take it above ISO 800. A smartphone may work better indoors and with faster action. Images using zoom are too soft. Quality is also poor at the long end of that 5x zoom. Images are more complicated using the zoom, even with digital zoom. Product for Pentax K70. What are some of the goods, bads, and uglies of the Pentax K70? Image quality: it features a brand new 24.2 MP CMOS sensor without an anti-aliasing filter and the Prime M2 processor. This combination delivers better performance than the K32 and KS2. Considering this is the first Pentax mid-range camera to debut a 24 MP sensor, the image quality this camera produces is excellent for the class. Images are sharp, well exposed, with natural color rendering, and the removal of the aliasing filter makes JPEG sharpening counterproductive and unneeded. The camera's 14-bit DNG files also provided excellent dynamic range, with well-controlled noise and sharpness during post-processing. Overall, the image quality is excellent, and is arguably the best in the current Pentax lineup, even outdoing the previous K32. The camera offers the clarity control function, an image processing tool that adjusts the clarity of images in camera. It obtains the skin tone correction function, which helps soften skin textures and tones. It offers continuous shooting speeds of 6 frames per second, a steady improvement over the KS2's 5.4 FPS maximum. The buffer depth is also excellent, and the camera can capture 40 JPEGs or 10 RAW images before buffering, making it a capable option for moderate sports. Video quality: it shoots 1080p Full HD video up to 30 frames per second to the MOV format, using the MPEG-4 codec, and overall, this camera's video capabilities offer only a modest improvement over the KS2. In this case, Pentax has added the 60 FPS recording frame rate in the interlace format, and the camera offers a flat picture profile, which lends itself to easier post-processing. The video on this camera comes with several notable drawbacks. We will cover these in the cons section below. It has zebras for exposure warning indication. Low light performance: low light performance has improved over the KS2 and the predecessor, by as much as one stop. It features a native ISO range from ISO 100 to 102,400, and users can expect usable photos up to ISO 6,400 or 12,800, with minor post-processing. Video capabilities. Video on this camera as a whole is average. The footage is quite soft compared to rivals, and it also suffers from noir and aliasing artifacts when recording in scenes with sharp contrasting lines. Plus, the footage is heavily compressed, making it appear muddy looking. Overall, the video capabilities are rather unimpressive for a modern DSLR. It only shoots 60 FPS at 1080p in the lower interlaced format, which doesn't provide the same detail as the progressive format. It lacks 4K UHD, true 1080p 60p and 120p video. The camera also disables the 5-axis stabilization system during video recordings, like the K1, and, instead, it defaults to an electronic stabilization system, which causes warping and other artifacts. The camera lacks a clean HDMI output, which means it's not suitable for external recorders or live streaming. Video recordings limit at 25 minutes, not the industry standard 29 minutes and 59 seconds. The camera also stops recording when the video reaches 4 GB in size. Battery life. Battery life is miserable. Pentax rates its DLI-109 battery at 480 shots per charge, which is far below average for a mid-range DSLR in this class. Display. The rear screen. It's a touchscreen. Ergonomics. The camera's grip is rather large, and while it keeps your fingers free and clear from the buttons, it's quite uncomfortable if you have small or medium-sized hands. You'll have to hold the camera quite tight for security to avoid potential drops, which eventually causes cramping. If you don't need blazing fast autofocusing performance or robust video capabilities, this is a very confident camera, and, arguably, one of the top options in the entry-level segment. It provides best-in-class image quality that rivals full-frame models twice the price. And if you're looking for the best image quality possible from a DSLR in this segment, it's one to consider. Plus, with weather sealing and a best-in-class viewfinder, it goes above and beyond this segment's expectations. Poor autofocus and weak video aside, it delivers fantastic value, and it stands as the finest mid-range camera Pentax has. Product 5. Rockin' an 85 MAF. Driven by their recent flood of AF lenses, Samyang has been rushing into the mainstream of third-party lens manufacturers. One of their first AF lenses was the AF 85mm f1.4 f back in mid-2018. But with the tide turning towards mirrorless cameras, they released the Samyang AF 85mm f1.4 Fe 1 year later. While you may guess that the latter is just a mount-adapted version, it is in fact a completely new design. Relative to the specs, the pricing is pretty hot at around $237 United States dollars. Compare this to OEM lenses with similar on-paper specs. So where's the catch? We'll see. The lens feels surprisingly sturdy with a lens body made of metal. The blank portions have a satin-like finish to them. It's a bit slippery and probably not everybody's darling, but that's mostly a matter of taste. Samyang implemented 3 gaskets for weather sealing. This isn't quite as extensive as on some other lenses, but it's reassuring nonetheless. The physical length remains the same across the focus range, thanks to an internal focusing system. The broad, metal focus ring operates smoothly. There is no AF/MF switch on the lens, so you have to control the focus mode on your camera. A deep pedal-shaped hood is provided. The lens features a rubberized micro-pattern focus ring, silver ring, hidden red ring, and matte finish. It has weather sealing in 7 areas to help protect the lens from light rain, snow, and dust. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button, press the bell icon and comment below. Check out the description to find the product links.